Captain Jake Morgan stood on the bridge of the Atlas Dawn, a Titan-class warship that was larger than anything humanity had built before. The ship floated in the blackness of space like a sleeping giant. Its surface was layered with thick plating, rows of massive cannons and invisible shielding systems. Inside, hundreds of crew members moved through quiet, organized routines. Earth Command had sent no message beyond a simple green light. It was all the approval Jake needed to begin their mission. Their job was simple: test the ship's systems, map deep space regions, and remain hidden unless first contact happened. But everyone on board knew this ship was not just for patrol. It was a message, built with the quiet hope that it would never have to fight. Jake looked out at the stars from the command deck. They had been sailing for 3 days with no signs of activity. The stars looked peaceful, but peace in deep space often meant something was hiding. Down in the communications bay, Ensign Lily Carter noticed something strange. A signal had appeared, soft but repeating. She leaned in. "Captain, I have a signal. Weak, possibly alien. Not from any of our colonies." Jake walked over and studied the screen. The signal was coming from a nearby system that held no known planets. He nodded. "Plate, course, let's see what it is." The Atlas Dawn moved forward slowly, its engines nearly silent despite its size. Inside, the crew began their scan routines. Security teams checked systems, engineers monitored the core, and the diplomatic officer, Nora Lane, prepared a greeting file in case contact was made. Meanwhile, in that same system, a small Virellan scout ship floated near an old asteroid field. Commander Lyra sat at her control seat, eyes fixed on the strange energy trace she had picked up days ago. Her crew was tense. The Virellans had explored many parts of the galaxy, but they had never seen anything like the trail they followed. Now the energy signature was old but powerful. "Commander, something is approaching," her second-in-command, Thalen, said. "It is enormous." Lyra turned her attention to the scanner. What she saw made her pause. A ship larger than most stations was moving toward them. No known species had built anything of that size. "Send a neutral signal. Let them know we are not hostile." Back on the Atlas Dawn, the neutral signal came through. It was basic and friendly. Nora Lane stepped forward. "Captain, they are not armed for battle. It looks like an exploration vessel." Jake nodded. "Then let's make first contact." The screen on the bridge lit up with the image of the alien ship. It was small, shaped like a crescent with blue light along its edges. Then a face appeared. The alien woman had pale violet skin and clear eyes, calm but cautious. "This is Commander Lyra of the Virellan Unity. We mean no harm." "Who are you?" Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Morgan of Earth. This is the human ship Atlas Dawn. We also come in peace." There was a pause. Lyra seemed to study him for a moment. "Your ship is beyond what we expected to find out here. Is Earth nearby?" "Not nearby," Jake said. "But we're exploring this region. You're the first non-human ship we've met." Lyra's crew looked just as surprised as hers. Thalen whispered something to her, but she waved him off. "Then let us not waste this chance. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Jake agreed. Both crews began to exchange simple data: cultural files, maps, star locations. They kept weapons offline. For a moment, space felt calm, but calm never lasted in deep space. Suddenly, the Virellan ship systems began to beep. Thalen looked up sharply. "Gravitational wave incoming. There's a field disturbance forming near the asteroid belt. We're being pulled in." Lyra's ship began to shake. They had no engine power strong enough to escape the pull. Lyra shouted commands, but it was too late. Jake saw the danger on his screens. Without hesitation, he gave the order. "Activate gravity anchors. Deploy towing field. Get them out of there." The Atlas Dawn moved into position with incredible precision. From its sides, 2 energy lines shot out and latched onto the small alien ship. With a hum, the Titan-class warship stabilized the field. It was like watching a giant catch a falling feather. Inside the Virellan ship, everything stopped shaking. Lyra and her crew were silent. They had just seen something impossible. Jake's voice came through the comms. "You're safe now. The field is neutralized. We'll tow you to a safe orbit." Lyra's voice was quiet. "Thank you. I've never seen technology like this. What kind of power do you use?" Jake only smiled. "The peaceful kind." As the Atlas Dawn held position and the Virilan crew began their repairs, news of the encounter was already being sent back to both Earth and the Virilan homeworld. And far across the stars, other species were beginning to take notice. The humans had arrived, and they did not come quietly. The Atlas Dawn stayed in orbit while the Virilan ship drifted slowly, held in place by the human warship's support. The deep space around them was quiet again, but everyone on both ships knew that something big had just happened. First contact was no longer theory. It was real. Captain Jake Morgan sat in the command chair thinking. The alien ship was safe, and their systems were coming back online. Still, he didn't lower his guard. This was a moment that could change everything, and one mistake could start a war. "Any updates from their ship?" Jake asked. Ensign Carter looked up from her station. "Commander Lyra reports that their engines are stable now. They thank us for the help. They also ask if we're open to a face-to-face meeting." Jake nodded slowly. "Tell them yes. Nora will lead. Make sure the meeting room is ready. And keep our defense systems active just in case." Quietly. In the docking bay, the crew worked fast to prepare. The docking corridor was extended from Atlas Dawn to the smaller alien ship. Crew members lined the hallway, watching carefully as the Virilan visitors stepped aboard. Commander Lyra entered first, her posture proud but cautious. Behind her came Thalen and two other officers. Their clothing was smooth and blue with silver symbols along the chest. Their faces were calm, but their eyes moved quickly, taking in every detail. Nora Lane stepped forward. She offered a smile and a short bow. "Welcome aboard the Atlas Dawn. I'm Nora Lane, Earth's diplomatic officer." Lyra returned the gesture. "I am Commander Lyra of the Virilan Unity. We are honored to stand here today." They were led into a meeting room with a large table and seats for all. The walls showed maps of nearby stars, and screens displayed basic information in both human and Virilan languages. The air was still, heavy with silence and wonder. "Your ship," Lyra said, looking at Jake, "moves like a living thing. We had never seen technology that can hold gravity like that." Jake gave a small smile. "It's new. This is our first deep space journey with it. You were the first contact." Thalen leaned forward. "How did you build such a thing in silence?" "We had no data on human systems beyond basic planet scans." Jake shared a glance with Nora before speaking. "We kept to ourselves. Earth had wars. We had to learn hard lessons first. Only recently did we begin reaching this far. We didn't want to bring old problems into space." Lyra nodded slowly. "Your ship is not just for peace. It has weapons. Large ones. I saw the cannons." Jake's voice stayed calm. "We believe peace is kept best when no one wants to test your strength. The Atlas Dawn is here to protect, not conquer." The room went quiet again. The aliens were still trying to understand how a planet they barely knew had built something so powerful. Outside the ship, many alien systems had already picked up strange energy readings from the Titan-class warship. Long-range sensors from other species were now focused on this point in space. On the Virilan homeworld, news had already reached their High Council. Secretly, a team of advisors met to discuss the data. The recordings showed how the human ship stabilized the gravitational storm, how it moved with perfect control, and how its systems were layered with power no one had expected. Some believed it was a trick. Others thought it was a sign that humanity had been hiding advanced knowledge. Either way, the Council agreed on one thing: the galaxy was no longer the same. Back on the Atlas Dawn, the two crews finished their meeting. Lyra stood up. "I believe our people have much to talk about, perhaps more than we thought possible. I would like to invite your representatives to visit our world when you are ready." Jake stood as well. "We'll send a message to Earth Command. They'll want to speak to your leaders. This is bigger than both of us now." After the meeting, the Virellans returned to their ship. The docking corridor was sealed again, and the crews on both sides took a deep breath. Nora turned to Jake. "Do you think the rest of the galaxy will stay calm after this?" Jake looked out at the stars. "No, I think they'll panic. But we didn't do anything wrong. We saved a ship and talked peacefully. That's what we'll show them." In the following hours, the Atlas Dawn prepared to send full mission logs back to Earth. All scans, communication records, and video of the encounter were packaged and sent through a secure channel. The Virellans did the same, sending their own records home. Far beyond both ships, deep in another system, the Council of Orville met in secret. They had long believed themselves the strongest in the region. Now their top scientists stared at scans of the Titan-class warship with worry. The ship's energy core alone was beyond anything in their fleets. "We must know how they built it," said one elder. "And if they built more." Others nodded. Some whispered of war. Others spoke of fear. But one advisor said what none wanted to admit. "If they are strong and peaceful, they will be harder to control than any enemy." That thought spread across the stars. On the Atlas Dawn, Jake gave the order to move again. The mission would continue. But now every system they entered would be watching, and every eye in the galaxy was waiting to see what the humans would do next. The Atlas Dawn continued its path through deep space, leaving behind the system where the Virellan ship had been rescued. Captain Jake Morgan stood on the bridge, silent as he watched the stars move slowly outside the large front window. His mind was full. The first contact had gone well, but he knew it was only the beginning. The galaxy was watching now. "Captain, we're picking up multiple scans from distant systems," said Ensign Carter. "Other species are scanning us. Some of them are high-level sensors." Jake walked over to her station. "Are they trying to hide it?" "A few are. Most are doing it openly. I think they want us to know they're watching." Jake looked at the scan display. Small green dots blinked across the outer edges of the screen. They were not threats, not yet. But they were curious eyes. He turned to his second officer, Noah Daniels. "Send a standard message on open frequencies. No threat, no fear. Let them know we're passing through." "Aye, Captain," Noah said, and got to work. Far away, in the Virellan capital, Commander Lyra stood in front of her leaders. She had returned from her mission only hours ago. The large room was quiet as she played back the recordings. The Titan-class warship moved across the screen, lifting their vessel from the storm with ease. The council watched without speaking. When the recording ended, one elder spoke. "Are you sure this was not a weapons station?" Lyra shook her head. "It was mobile. It moved fast, reacted with perfect control, and showed no signs of aggression. We were powerless, and they saved us." "They chose peace," another voice asked. "Can we trust this species?" Lyra looked around the room. "They had no reason to help us, no gain, no request for payment. I believe we must open full talks. The humans may not be what we expected, but they are not enemies." The Ori Council remained silent. But a message was sent that day. A formal invitation would be sent to Earth. The Virellan Unity wanted to begin peaceful talks. Back on the Atlas Dawn, the crew stayed busy. Scans were running, repairs were checked, and communication systems were tested again. But the biggest task was quiet, reviewing the ship's defensive logs. Jake had ordered his security team to study the way the ship had used its gravity anchors. "It worked exactly as planned," said Chief Engineer Riley. "The energy core didn't even go past half power. If needed, we could have pulled 3 ships out of that field." "And the shields?" Jake asked. "Still untouched. But the sensor logs show something strange. When we used the gravity field, we left a trail. It's like a soft mark in space. Other ships might be able to trace it." Jake frowned. "So now everyone knows where we've been?" "Yes, sir. If they have good tech, they'll find it." Jake nodded. "We'll need to change our route. Make it less predictable, Meanwhile, in a nearby system, a ship belonging to the Arvex Syndicate had already picked up the trail. The Arvex were not part of any council. They were a pirate clan, known for stealing and spying. Their leader, Vorin, stared at the image of the Titan-class warship. "What is this thing?" he growled. His science officer shrugged. "It matches no known design. Too large for a normal ship. Too fast for a station." "And it saved a Virellan ship?" "Yes. And did it without damage. The energy readings are strange." Vorin grinned. "If they can build something like this, they must have resources worth stealing. Follow the trail. We'll get close. Learn what we can." The Arvex ship began its hunt. Back on the Atlas Dawn, Nora Lane sat in her quarters, typing a report. She wrote about the meeting with the Virellans, the rescue, and the growing scans from other systems. She added a warning. Humanity's secret was now open. The galaxy would react in many ways, and not all would be friendly. As she sent the report, a soft beep came from her tablet. A new message had arrived from the Virellan Unity. They were inviting a human team to visit their homeworld. Nora took the tablet to the bridge. "Captain, the Virellans have made it official. They want us to come to their planet." Jake looked at the message. He read it twice. "This changes everything. Should we go?" Jake nodded. "Yes, but we won't bring the full ship. Send a small team. We'll take a shuttle." The crew prepared for the mission. A small team was chosen: Nora Lane, Lieutenant Jason Cole, and Dr. Maria Harris. They would land on the Virellan homeworld and speak directly with their leaders. The Sci-Fi shuttle launched quietly from the Atlas Dawn. The Titan-class ship stayed in orbit, floating like a mountain above the clouds. The shuttle moved smoothly toward the glowing green and blue planet below. As they entered the atmosphere, the crew could see cities shaped like crystals, floating towers, and long rivers that shimmered in the sunlight. It was clear the Virellans had culture, history, and technology of their own. The shuttle landed near a large building made of white stone and silver beams. Virellan guards waited calmly, their faces curious but not hostile. Nora stepped out first. She kept her hands at her side, showing no threat. Commander Lyra greeted them at the steps. "Welcome to our world. Today, we begin something new." The humans followed her inside. Back in space, the Atlas Dawn remained still. But far behind it, a ship moved in the dark. The Arvex Syndicate had arrived. They watched from a distance, silent, waiting. The galaxy was waking up. The humans had revealed their hand, and not everyone watching believed in peace. The Atlas Dawn stayed in a quiet orbit around the Virellan homeworld. Its massive shape cast a long shadow on the clouds below. Inside the ship, crew members remained alert. Captain Jake Morgan knew that even in peace, danger could appear without warning. In the diplomatic chamber of the Virellan Unity, Nora Lane and her small team sat across from the council. Commander Lyra stood by their side, acting as the bridge between both groups. The tall chamber was built from silver and light blue stone. Large windows showed the city outside, with flying vehicles and tall crystal towers shining in the sunlight. An elder counselor named Valen leaned forward. "Your ship is beyond anything we expected. We know of weapons, shields, and engines, but what you have built is something more." Nora answered calmly. "The Atlas Dawn was made for defense. Our world faced many wars in the past. Now we wish to avoid conflict through strength." Another counselor, Jaren, raised his hand. "Some species will fear this. They may see your power as a threat." Lieutenant Jason Cole replied, "We understand that. But we came to help, not rule. We saved one of your own because it was the right thing to do." The council sat in silence for a moment. Then Valen spoke again. "Fear spreads faster than truth. The story of your ship is already traveling far." That was true. Across the galaxy, news of the human Titan-class warship had reached many systems. Some called it a myth, others believed it was a new danger. The story changed depending on who told it. On the warship, Captain Jake received an urgent report. Ensign Carter turned to him with worry. "Captain, we've picked up a signal. It's a masked scan. Hidden well, but close. Direction? Rear quadrant. Low movement, almost like they're drifting. Could be stealth." Jake frowned. "Raise shields. Quietly. Ready the defense systems. No weapons online unless they move." In the far dark behind a moon, the Arvex Syndicate ship watched the Atlas dawn. Inside, Vorin sat in his command chair, eyes locked on the human ship. "Do not get closer," he ordered. "But keep scanning. I want to see how they react. If they spot us, we'll test their sensors." His crew worked in silence. The plan was not to attack, but to learn. Vorin believed that whoever controlled this kind of power could control the galaxy. Back on the planet, the Viralan Council finished the first round of talks. Lyra walked Nora and her team through the city as a sign of trust. The streets were full of peaceful life, and many Virelans stopped to look at the humans. Some waved, others kept their distance. "You are welcome here," Lyra said, "but not all our people are ready. Some think your ship is a weapon made for conquest." Nora nodded. "That's why we came in person. We want them to see we are not monsters." Back on the Atlas Dawn, the crew began to monitor the strange ship more closely. Chief Engineer Riley brought up a scan on the main screen. "They're using shadow drives, old tech, but masked under newer layers. That's not Virelan design, I think it's Arvex." Jake nodded. "Pirates, trouble, are they armed?" "Not clear. They have energy banks but no large cannons. Might be a scout." Jake gave the order. "Maintain position. Keep eyes on them. No moves, unless they act first." On the Arvex ship, Vorin grew impatient. "They know we're here. Look at their shield response. They're playing smart. We need to provoke." "Sir, should we send a probe?" "Just a small one to test range." Vorin nodded. "Send it. If they shoot, we'll learn how fast they react." A tiny probe launched from the pirate ship, moving slowly toward the Atlas Dawn. It looked harmless, but it was built to test fields and scan weapons. On the Atlas Dawn, the system alarm rang. Ensign Carter called out, "Object incoming, small. Probe, not armed." Jake narrowed his eyes. "Disable it. Gently. Use magnetic net." The ship fired a soft trap device. The probe was caught mid-flight and pulled into a storage bay. Engineers began to scan it. "Arvex markings confirmed," Riley said. "Basic spy tech. Nothing too deep. But it shows they're interested." Jake nodded. "Send them a message. Simple and clear. We see you. Don't try that again." The message was sent. The Arvex ship went quiet. Then it moved away, disappearing into the dark. "They're gone for now," Carter said. Jake leaned back. "But they'll be back, and others will follow. We need to be ready." On the Viralan planet, Nora and Lyra stood on a tower balcony, looking up at the sky. The Atlas Dawn hung above like a moon. "Your ship caused ripples across the stars," Lyra said. "Some see a shield. Others see a sword." "We understand," Nora said. "But we believe strength without control is chaos. That ship is powerful, but it is guided by careful hands." Lyra looked at her with quiet respect. "I believe you, but the galaxy may take longer to learn." That night, Earth Command received full reports from the Atlas Dawn. They read about the Virelan visit, the pirate ship, and the growing attention from other systems. The message was clear. Earth was no longer hidden. The Atlas Dawn had shown the stars what humanity could build, and now the stars were watching very closely. Captain Jake Morgan stood quietly on the command deck of the Atlas Dawn. The crew worked calmly around him, but everyone knew the galaxy had changed. The ship had only been on its first mission, but it had already drawn attention from allies, enemies, and curious watchers. A new message came in. Ensign Carter looked up from her station. "Captain, we have an official request from the Galactic Council." Jake turned. "The main council?" "Yes, sir. They want a formal meeting, in person. At their station near the central cluster." Jake nodded slowly. "Send a copy to Earth Command." Let them decide who will attend. Several hours later, a response came from Earth. Nora Lane would lead the team again. A small group of officers would go with her to represent humanity. The Atlas Dawn would travel to the edge of the central cluster, but stay outside the Council's station to avoid fear or pressure. The ship set course. It moved through deep space calmly, but behind the silence the crew felt the weight of what was coming. No human had ever stood before the full Galactic Council. Meanwhile, in the council chambers, members of dozens of alien species gathered. Tall figures with long arms, short ones with glowing eyes, creatures with shells, wings, and soft scales, all gathered under one roof. They had heard the stories. They had seen the footage. But most still could not believe it. Is it real? One delegate asked. Yes, said another. The Virulans confirmed it. The humans saved them. And their ship? It is beyond anything we know. The main hall grew silent as a council leader stood. Then we must see it with our own eyes, and we must hear the humans speak. The Atlas Dawn arrived in orbit around the station. It did not approach closely. Its giant form stayed at a respectful distance, like a mountain waiting in the dark. Smaller ships moved around it, scanning but not daring to get too near. Nora and the chosen team entered a shuttle and flew to the station. The docking bay opened slowly. Armed guards from several species watched them carefully. But there was no aggression, only tension. Nora stepped out first. She wore a plain uniform with no weapons. Behind her were 2 officers and 1 scientist. They all walked with calm steps. A tall alien with green eyes and 4 arms greeted them. Welcome. I am Leader of the Council. We thank you for coming. Nora gave a polite nod. We thank you for the invitation. They were led through long halls made of smooth stone and bright lights. Finally, they entered the main chamber. Every delegate turned to look at the humans. The room became quiet. Leader stepped forward. This is Nora Lane, a voice from Earth. She will speak. Nora stepped up to the center. She looked around slowly, making eye contact with several council members. We came here in peace, she began. Our ship is powerful, yes, but it was not built to attack. It was built to protect. Earth has suffered in the past. We do not want to suffer again, nor do we want others to. There were murmurs in the crowd. Nora continued. We saved a Virulan ship because it was the right thing to do. We showed our strength not with force but with help. One delegate stood up. Why build a ship that large if not for war? Nora answered without pause. Because large dangers exist, and sometimes peace needs a shield. Another asked, do you plan to build more of these ships? We plan to protect our world. If that means more ships, then yes. But never to rule others. Only to defend. The room went silent again. Then a voice came from the side. It was soft, but clear. It was Commander Lyra. She had joined the meeting as a guest. I stood on their ship. I saw how they treated us. With respect. With care. I believe what they say. Her words carried weight. The council began to talk again. Some remained doubtful. Others started to support the humans. Fear was still there, but so was curiosity. After the meeting, Nora and her team returned to the Atlas Dawn. Captain Jake met them at the hangar. How did it go? He asked. Better than expected, Nora replied. Some still fear us, but others are starting to listen. Lyra's words helped. Good. Let's stay alert. The more they know us, the more they'll test us. Jake walked back to the bridge. He looked at the screen showing the council station in the distance. The Titan-class warship stood still, but its presence was louder than any speech. In the days that followed, news spread. Across star systems, messages moved fast. The humans had spoken. Some species asked for trade talks. Others asked to visit Earth. A few warned their people to be careful. The Arvex syndicate, still hiding in the shadows, did not stay quiet. They sent warnings to their allies. Humans cannot be trusted. Vorin told his inner circle. They hide fire behind friendly words. We must prepare, but not all agreed. Some smaller groups saw humans as a new hope against old powers, a chance for change. Back on Earth, leaders reviewed the reports. The first steps into the wider galaxy had gone better than hoped. The Atlas Dawn had done its job. But everyone knew. This was just the beginning. More meetings would come, more eyes would watch. Captain Jake stood alone once more on the bridge. Outside, the stars stretched far and wide. He knew the galaxy was listening, and humanity had only just started to speak. The Atlas Dawn moved slowly through space, far from the Galactic Council's station. The diplomatic mission was complete, but Captain Jake Morgan knew the true test was still ahead. Peace was fragile. It needed action, not just words. Inside the ship, the crew worked in silence. The bridge lights were low. Everyone waited for the next orders from Earth Command. But Jake had already made up his mind. He would take the Atlas Dawn on one more trip before heading home. Set course for the Kelmar Drift, Jake said. Noah Daniels, the second officer, turned. That's outside patrol zones. I know, but I read the reports. There's a mining colony there. They've gone silent. Noah nodded and started the navigation sequence. Ensign Carter sent a short message to Earth, informing them of the detour. The ship turned and entered faster than light travel. The stars became streaks, everyone held their breath. They had just spoken to the galaxy, now they were going to help it again. Meanwhile, on the Virilan homeworld, Commander Lyra walked through a garden near the council buildings. She had become a key voice for those who believed in peace with humans. Her words had helped calm fear and open new talks, but not everyone agreed. Some military officers wanted stronger defenses. Others believed the humans were a trap in disguise. A council member approached her. There are new messages from border worlds. The humans are moving toward the Kelmar Drift. Why? Lyra asked. A colony has gone silent. The humans may be trying to help or to take. Lyra shook her head. They're not thieves. If they go, it's to protect. The council member frowned. Then let's hope the rest of the galaxy sees it that way. At the edge of the Kelmar Drift, the Atlas Dawn dropped out of faster-than-light speed. The view ahead was strange. A large mining platform floated near a gas cloud. There was no movement, no signals, no signs of life, said Carter. No power, no heat. Jake stood up. Launch a drone, keep weapons offline, but be ready. The drone moved forward. It scanned the station, sending back data. There were signs of damage, blast marks, hull tears, but not from inside. It looked like an attack from outside. Pirates? Noah asked. Could be. But something's off, Jake said. Why didn't anyone call for help? Just then, a signal flashed on the screen. Weak, almost lost. A single word repeated. Help. There's someone alive, Carter said. Jake didn't wait. Prepare a shuttle. I'm going down. Nora Lane, Dr. Maria Harris, and 2 security officers joined him. The shuttle launched and landed on the silent platform. Inside, the halls were cold and dark. Flashlights showed signs of a struggle. In a small control room, they found her. A woman in a torn uniform, weak but breathing. She looked up as they entered. Are you real? She asked. We're here to help, Jake said. What happened? Raiders. They came with stealth tech, took supplies, damaged our comms, left us here. Anyone else? A few survivors, hiding in the lower levels. Jake called the Atlas Dawn. Send medical teams. This place needs full support. In the next hours, the crew of the Atlas Dawn searched every part of the platform. They found survivors, gave medical aid, and began repairs. Word of their actions spread quickly. News reached nearby systems. Other ships came, not to fight, but to offer help. Virilan engineers arrived. Even ships from species that feared humans joined in. The rescue mission became a moment of unity. Back on Earth, leaders watched the footage. People across the planet cheered. Their ship, their crew, had not just spoken peace. They had proven it. In the Galactic Council, debates turned quieter. More members supported peace with Earth. Trade routes opened, science teams asked to visit, but not all were pleased. In the dark regions of space, the Arvex syndicate met again. They win hearts with good acts, Vorin said, but we will show the truth. We will strike where they least expect it. Still, the galaxy was changing. Fear was giving way to respect. Doubt was turning into trust. On the Atlas dawn, Captain Jake looked out at the stars. The ship had done more than explore. It had become a symbol, not just of human strength, but of human choice. Nora stood beside him. We came out here to show what we could do. I think we showed who we are. Jake nodded. Let's head home. The engines hummed. The ship turned slowly, leaving the drift behind. The mission was complete, but the journey had just begun. The galaxy had met the humans, and it would never forget them.